Chapter 9.2, we're looking at drawing angles in standard position. In this lesson, you're going to expand your study of angles to include angles with measures that can be any real numbers. First, we need to learn about angles in standard position. In a coordinate plane, an angle can be formed by fixing one ray called the initial side. So the initial side is here. It is always on the positive x-axis. So this is the positive x-axis, this is the negative x-axis, positive y-axis, and the negative y-axis. So initial side is here where it starts, and rotating the other ray called the terminal side. So terminal side is here. Terminal side, and this is our initial side. An angle is in standard position when its vertex is at the origin. So the origin is here, and so therefore the vertex is here. And its initial side lies on the positive x-axis, as I mentioned earlier. So standard position, it'll always start here on the positive x-axis, and then it'll rotate, and then we'll see what that looks like. The measure of an angle is positive when the rotation of its terminal side is counterclockwise. So that means it's going in this direction here. So notice in this one, if the angle goes this way, so as it rotates this direction, it's counterclockwise, and therefore it is positive. Now, if it rotates clockwise, then therefore it is negative. So it goes in this direction here. So if it starts here and then goes this way, it is negative. The terminal side of an angle can rotate more than 360 degrees. So first, let's label the degrees on this coordinate plane. So here, this is 0 degrees. Up here is 90 degrees. On the left, this is 180 degrees. Down here, this is 270 degrees. And then all the way back at the beginning is 360 degrees. So that is clockwise. So 0, 90, 180, 270, then 360. And then it can keep on going. Now, if we were to label the negative going the other direction, this is 0 degrees. Then down here would be negative 90 degrees. This is negative 180 degrees. And then up here is negative 270 degrees. And then negative 360 degrees. And it could keep on going. So that is very helpful. So when you're trying to draw angles in standard position, it will be helpful to label the axes with those specific numbers. So we're going to draw an angle with the given measure in standard position. So what that means is we start here on the initial side. Now this is positive 240 degrees. So it's helpful if I start with this is 0. Up at the top, this is 90 degrees. On the left, this is 180 degrees. And at the bottom, it's 270. And then back at 0, that would be 360 degrees if it rotated all the way through. Now, given this is 240 degrees, notice where we would end up. So number 1, just to remind you, quadrant 1 is here, quadrant 2 is here, quadrant 3 is here, and quadrant 4 is here. Okay, so if we were trying to find 240 degrees, we would end up at here, somewhere in quadrant 3. So notice 240 degrees is between 180 and 270 degrees. So just a sketch, we'll say it's right about here. And then, so you need to show which way did your angle rotate. So you do have to draw this right here. This is the angle, and this stops at 240 degrees. Now 500 degrees, so notice that's going to be greater than 360. So a way to find that is we're going to subtract 360 degrees from 500. And when you do that, you're going to find that you have 140 degrees. So that helps us to know where we stop. So this is 0, 90, 180 degrees. And then notice this is 360. right? So our initial side, again, is here. Now we're going to 500, and it's going to end at about 140 degrees or 140 degrees, so it's going to end up somewhere in quadrant 2. And so how you show that it rotated a little more than 360 or more than 360 is you start here on the initial side, you go all the way around, that's 360, then this other 140 degrees, that means that is 500. So notice this is 360 plus 140 more equals 500 degrees. Let's look at letter C, negative 50 degrees. So notice with positive, we're going to go counterclockwise. Now with negative, we're going to go clockwise, this direction here. The standard position, again, is it starts at the positive x-axis, negative 50, but now we're rotating this direction. So this is 0, this is negative 90 degrees here, and we know that negative 50 is going to be in that quadrant, which is quadrant 4. So if we draw the angle, it is approximately just somewhere right here. So we can say this is negative 50 degrees. So try these 3 out. Draw these 3 angles. Make sure to show that you are putting the initial side. And then when you rotate it, make sure you draw which way is it going. And if it rotates greater than a full circle, then you do show that, right? So you want to show whether it rotates more than 360, and then also the direction that it goes. Try these 3 out. So trying this out for number 2, 300 degrees ends up in quadrant 4. So 360 down here is 270. So you know that 300 is somewhere between 270 and 360, so it ends here. Negative 120 is going to rotate clockwise. And so notice this is negative 90 and this is negative 180. Therefore ends up here in quadrant 3. Then number 4, this is greater than 360. So if I add 360 to the 450, that is 90 degrees, negative 90, right? Negative 450 plus 360 gives me negative 90. So therefore, it ends right here on the negative y-axis. Now again, it's going clockwise. So therefore, this is negative 360 plus another 90 gets us to negative 450 degrees.